Hi, David Odell here with Odell Complete Concrete. I'm in Bullhead, Arizona, and this is a massive driveway. We're replacing the gravel with concrete. First, we're going to start out with removing this. The way this garage was initially done, the floor was poured and extended out beyond the front of the garage door about 3 feet. So that's going to get saw cut all the way back to the flush with the garage door, chipped out. That way the driveway will be separate from the garage. We won't have a seam that's 3 feet out. Today on the setup, it's Kenny, myself, and Doug. Not a whole lot of concrete removal, but there's a lot of gravel, quite a bit of dirt, because we're changing the grade too at the same time. Because right now, coming in off the street, you have a tendency to bottom out with the trailer. So we're gonna, as we get to the front of the house, we're gonna shoot it down to the street and take a big crown out of it. That way you can just pull up in the driveway without bottoming out in the future. The concrete's gonna stop right here. I think it's like 2 feet back beyond the corner of the garage, straight across to this chain link fencing. A new chain link gate will go in at this point, right where this form's going in right now. Actually, we repurposed the existing fencing that was out in front, and it's gonna end up going back here in the back. Here's some base here. Kenny just brought in a load of base. I think this is all we needed for this first pour, because we're going to do this in a 2 pour. So we got 20 in the back. We've got another 10 plus another 4 on the approach. So we do have an apron approach in the front. That's going to require a permit and inspection. Right now, Kenny's trying out my new Milwaukee. It's got a hammer bit in there right now, chisel bit, and it's knocking that concrete off real easy. I have the water pump, battery powered pump from Milwaukee that holds about 5 gallons, and that's what I'm supplying my saw with. That way I don't have a dust storm. The grade's starting to look pretty good. Initially, there was about a 6-inch drop off from the right to the left. We built this up pretty nicely. We've got probably 3-inch slope, cross slope, and we've got another 5 inches towards the street. So to the eye, it doesn't look like anything, but it's enough to get the water to move. This looks like it's ready to pour. Everything's wet down, everything's compacted nicely. All right, 6 in the morning, waiting on concrete. Everyone has arrived. It's a tailgate special. We're pouring half of it today. This section, this is 2 loads here because it's 5 inches. And then we got another 2 loads down here in a couple days. Last minute fixes over here. We just discovered, just by looking at it, that the concrete right here, the existing that we're matching, is running backwards into this corner. So we're going to set a little header here, pour up on this 2x4, and fill in behind it later with a non-shrink grout.
All right.
You can see the chalk line here.
You got it because we need to
See that chalk line up on the side, but that's how you get the water out of those corners.
You can see it running right down. It's almost like that garage sunk or something.
Yeah, that corner is
that
dropped
was after the fact.
Well, there's a crack right here.
Yeah.
You see, there's a crack here.
Yeah.
And that's where it dropped. Yeah, so that was a last minute catch. We got all our forms in, and then we started looking at it, and it looked like it was sloping into the corner, that one little section, about a 4x4. And that's when we realized that the concrete was cracked and put in wrong. So we fixed that. Now we're tailgating. We've got, this is a blend mix. It's half pea gravel, half big rock. So it lays down a little bit easier than just straight big rock. That's the benefit of it. We also have 2% retardant in here. We've got fiber mesh. This is a 3000 PSI. Now this is a very windy day. If you look at the palm tree in the background, it takes a lot of wind to move a palm. They're really designed well for wind because they're flexible and they don't have a lot of wind shear. So when you see those blowing, it means it's really windy. I think we got up to about 40-mile-an-hour winds on this particular day. We also sprayed a compound before we bull float. We just sprayed a compound on there that retards the surface. It protects it from the wind. Now, it's another key ingredient you're going to want to know about, you know, if you're ever in a wind situation, is that stuff, it really works. I've done it both ways, with the surface retardant and without. And without the retardant, I had cracking the next day. With the surface retardant, no cracking the next day in 40-mile-an-hour winds. We are going to be tool joining this also. That's another crucial factor. When you're in conditions like this, 100 plus degrees, 40-mile-an-hour winds, about 7% humidity, things are happening pretty quickly, and the concrete doesn't like that, and it likes to crack quickly as well in those situations. So we're going to be joining this day of, because there's no time to wait around and come back and saw cut. It'll be cracked by the time you get back to cut it, most likely. So this is all happening day of. It's some of the things you just have to do if you want it to work out in your favor. So we got the first load down, and now we're waiting for the second one. I just kind of wet that cold joint up with some water to try to hold it, you know, so I don't end up with a cold joint there, so I can still mash them together. Here's some of the layout for the joints going in.
You eyeball and you got a mark.
With that surface retardant, usually I've just sprayed it right before bull floating the first time, but you can spray it again if you want to, and then bull float again to make sure you really got a lot in there. But one time is usually enough. I get it in a 5-gallon bucket, and you can dilute it 7-to-1, so it goes a long way. Here's your 3/4 inch by 3/4 joiner. Braxton's on the edge. Let's see, who do we have today? I think we got, Greg's on the bull float. We got Greg, Braxton, and Joe, Kenny, Doug, and myself. Good, we got a good team. We're not undermanned. There's a few things you can be undermanned on and still win, but concrete's not one of them. Like, for instance, if you're doing a block wall, you could do it. You could be undermanned because you can just stop whenever you want. But in concrete, it's different. There's no stopping until it's done. So it worked out pretty good timing on the loads. We had just enough time in between loads to get these joints in because there's really no access to run joints. That's a 5-foot wide bull float, and that's basically, it's like a fiberglass, some kind of polymer stuff. I like it. It's made by Cadillac. It's a nice bull float.
Minimum of 3 times a week. Yeah, welcome to the crew, Dustin. Hey, everybody, that's Dustin. I grew up in a...
Check out the wind on those palms now. They're bending over about 6 inches, maybe a foot. There's a big ball. Not many of them. You know, this is S&S concrete. I haven't had a lot of balls. You maybe get 1 ball per load. So in these kind of conditions, you'll want to try to keep that surface sealed up. You don't really want to leave it open. So what I mean by open is you could have used a wood bowl float on this. If you're in a different area where it was cooler, higher humidity, you could have wood bowl floated and just left it like that and let the water come out of it. But in this case, we want to do the opposite and try to retain the water. I got out here kind of early because it was getting sticky. Whenever you're working in the wind, the surface is completely different working with it than just in a typical no wind scenario. So I got out there early, plus I carry a water bottle on me that I spray the concrete with as I trowel. Now that water bottle I could have substituted for the surface retardant and then troweled that in as well. That's another option. But I just went with water in this one. There's no possible way to trap water in concrete in this type of environment. No matter what you do, you're not going to be able to hold water in this concrete. In some cases, some environments, trapping water in concrete is bad. In this case, it's good. The surface is a lot different when you trowel it. It's a little more sticky. It's kind of it's hard to describe the feeling of it, but if you've ever done it, you'd know it's completely different in the wind versus not having any wind. So water really helps that trowel or hand float, whatever, glide over it. There's Greg catching what he can from the edges. That alleviates the kneeboard work out in the middle. The main reason I went out there on the sliders kind of early was to kind of touch that cold joint. I wanted to work it and get it a little flatter. It felt like the way the bull float was hitting it, it didn't look too flat, so I had to get out there on that thing, try to knock it into position. Yeah, that's a good stroke.
Not bad. I need some water up here on the.
Here's Kenny on the broom. The one good thing about this area in the wind, a lot of times when you have wind, you've got a lot of leaves and debris blowing, but there is no leaves here. So that's the only good news I can tell you, is that we didn't have a lot of debris and leaves blowing into the surface of the concrete. So that's a tomahawk sprayer putting on the concrete curing compound, and you can see how fast it does it. Now we're working on the second load. First load is completed and cured. We're still running the walking joiner wherever we can. A lot of it's just hand work. Hand joiners out in the middle. Now this joint was not too straight, so we broke out the walker to kind of true it up.
Yeah, right here.
And that's all you really got to do.
Yeah, work that out. Massage that a little straight.
The walking joiner wasn't able to reach this distance here to true this joint up, so we had to board it. We took an aluminum screed and used that as a guide on our hand joiners.
Trouble.
When you take a look at that, it's kind of spongy. That's the word I was looking for in the wind. It gets that spongy feeling. The surface is dry, but everything below it is spongy. That's what makes it hard to work. It's not consistent. We did have a little bit of a wind break. For one reason, we're down low to the ground. And then we have this privacy fencing here. We have the house over there. So that helps break the wind. It probably dropped it down to 20 miles an hour on the ground.
I can broom from right here, maybe one stroke.
You know, you have to pour whenever you can out here, pretty much, because you never know when or when it's not going to be windy. But if you try to wait for the perfect day, it may never come. In other words, you're not going to get a lot done.
It being so far out.
Yeah, Dave.
Yeah. Right here, it's brooming real nice.
We wouldn't have been that far behind if you didn't get all fucking crazy with your hands.
Anyway, that about wraps up this beauty. Make sure you stay tuned because we're going to be dropping. That's a little aerial view there. You see that those dark spots? That's the curing compound. It was on there pretty thick. That all went away. Anyway, thanks for watching. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Talk to you later. Bye.
Odell, complete concrete. Odell.